JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, October 21st, 324. On this Friday afternoon, talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P up about 10% here, chopping around for most of the afternoon. Nothing much. Porter's came on. He's doing his speech in front of the Garden. Uh, Comments, nothing market moving, but the market did spy all the way up to 673. Well, 672.99 to be exact. Dipped a quick $2 reversal under 671, and then just kind of been bouncing around back to its regularly scheduled melt up after that. Yields, the 10 years under 4%, hanging under there. VIX is lower. Nothing to write home about, right? And after the close today, we'll get Netflix earnings. I wrote it before. It feels like it's like one of those earnings that it's not a lot of expectation, in my opinion, into the report. It's almost like people are fearing there might be some, at least not the best results. And because of that, maybe there's some opportunity. I'm not going to nibble on any strikes there just because. I was looking at strikes earlier. I'm like, if you're bullish and you want to go on the call side, stock's at 1242 right now. The 1400 weekly strikes are $4, 455 by 470, right? So even if you got one contract for a lotto that's $160 out of money, just not my type of risk reward there. So I'll sit with my popcorn after hours and I'll just hold my Roku calls. But today feels like I wouldn't call it a greed reset day because the market's hanging in there. But then some of these names that have been on epic tears, especially in the energy space in regards to AI, OKLO's selling off. You have a name like Nimbus, right? I remember I used to trade the index back in the day. It was the Russia Yahoo, right? And that got delisted or what have you when the Russia-Ukraine situation. And then it came back, and obviously that was a $20-$30 stock all the way up to 140 based on the AI and what have you, some partnerships deals. That one's down, another day, but down about 7%. OKOL, Oklo, however they call it. That's down another 13%. It's down a couple days in a row. But then on the flip side, you have Beyond Meat. Gosh, I remember that stock back in the day was $200. Everybody talking about the next great thing, right? People aren't going to eat meat anymore. They're going to have Beyond Meat. uh, Obviously, that story, I mean, it's still around, right? So it's got 62% short interest. They've been doing some offerings. You thought at some point to be a bankruptcy or what have you. And here it is, back to life. They did an offering. I mean, it trades one times revenues, and it's like one of those. They just had a deal with Walmart. It's not a name like I look at that, and I look at the open story, and I'm like, I don't like the open story either. But if you had to pick who's going to win the battle, I mean, someone's going to pull the carpet at some point on Beyond. So you take a look at the options too; they're up like 300-400%. The stock's up 150%. So risk reward not there on the option side either. If anybody's in, I wish them the best. Hopefully it goes to the moon for you. But that's kind of how it feels today. It's like a greed reset day, but the market's holding up. So that's another good sign. Talking about this morning too, the stocks trading over their 50-day moving average. At some point, there's going to be the fudders are going to come out and start talking about that 50-day moving average, which is at 653, actually 655 now on the SPY. At some point, we're going to come and tap it. But for now, good stuff here. All right, so Netflix earnings after the close tomorrow is Tesla. Tesla's a large weighting of the S&P, so can certainly cause some swings. But again, Tesla's another one of these stories where now, those folks have been bearish forever, who kept calling Tesla a car company. Now they're like, oh, the car sales don't matter because the optimists and all the energy side as well is what's baked into is part of the valuation and the growth outlook now, right? It's funny now that shifts. So, deliveries don't matter anymore because the market's looking forward to all these other catalysts. So they'll just keep pulling the levers that just make sense for them. Anyway, I don't know that Tesla matters too much in regards to the markets and in regards to especially to its earnings, right? And you have the run out of the subsidies, so the rebates, so that might have fueled some extra revenues and demand as that expired. So I don't know. Anyway, rants for other days. So in regards to the overall market, I talked about 675 as possible resistance. The upper Bollinger Band on the SPY got up to 673, maybe tomorrow, Thursday. And then it's something you never know. I mean, we saw what happened 2 Fridays ago. So you never know if there's some kind of shenanigans. If there is, 658 on SPY will be the first spot. All right, so that's overall markets. Now just quick on some individual names. First I'll talk about gold, and I posted a link in, I don't know if it's still there, but back in 2013 is the last time we really had silver. And I remember silver, this is before all these ETFs were ultra and the double and the 3-time ETFs. I remember trading, I forget the name of silver ultra short, silver ultra long. when we had the big move, I think it was in the spring of 2013. I was bearish on gold, and I had the dust calls. And Dust has done some splits, and the J Dust, they were all relatively new instruments. But I remember those Dust went from like $20 to $350 in a matter of like 4 days, and I had calls. Old days, I won't call it the glory days, but fun times. And there's a lot of stories like that over the years. But just it's funny that the piece came up that silver had its biggest pull since then. The difference between now and then, I mean, silver I think went up to $40 back in 2013, is that things are different. And but anyway, not getting to the point. But at some point you knew gold was going to have some kind of pull, and everybody's going to say, oh, they called it the top, it's a bubble. To call gold a bubble is like, to me, it almost like I don't think you can call gold a bubble. Number one, if it's been a slow and steady move to the upside, it's not like it's had these tremendous swings, and it's like it's been pretty orderly, right? So, uh, the thing is though, I mean, sitting over here 4,000. I thought, and I had a position a couple months ago. I thought it was going to trade substantially lower than where it is right now. So, is there an opportunity trades into the high 3,000s? Does it go back down to 3,900? Possibly, right? So, uh, we'll see here. And the other thing is, a lot of people who are in gold, maybe they've been in for a while and looking for an opportunity for a signal at some point to pull the lever, right? So maybe there's more profit taking tomorrow, some follow through. There'll be headlines overnight. I mean, the news, people are going to come home from work, say, oh, gold. And maybe some of these folks who have been waiting for an opportunity to sell, they're going to sell. So maybe there's more downside here. The thing is, I'm not going to look at GLD puts. I'll continue to do the miners. And I don't know why I don't have my dust calls up here. But anyway, which brings me to dust, right? So back in 2013, the dust calls were insane, right? I mean, thousands of percent to the upside. Now we finally have this big move on gold. Dust is up 20%, and the calls are only up 80% or whatever. So we'll see. Maybe it's going to need back-to-back couple days for this to really get going. So at the same time, if gold does bounce, I feel like the miner's going to get, it's going to go the other way. And, only takes a 5% bounce and the premium is going to get crushed. So don't want to be stuck with my, without locking some in. So I took some off for 50% on the 13s. And then I took some more off for close to 100% earlier, just a little while ago. And then, I also went at the open and got some of the 14 strikes. I was looking at December calls, but to me, it's like, I don't know how long this goes, but I don't plan on trading gold short into December, right? So if that's the rationale for my trade, I might as well go shorter dated, take advantage of the less expensive premiums, and then you get better reward for the risk. So I'll continue to hold those. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see more follow through tomorrow on gold, and not for any, again, there's other factors, right? I always talk about this too, like especially with gold being up 60% on the year, people have portfolios, right? And usually it's allocations of different asset classes. So, 50% stocks, 20% bonds, 20% gold, and 10% whatever it is. And now, who knows how much crypto is baked into that. But if your gold position is up 60% and your weighted of your portfolio is 20% is gold, obviously now gold takes up 35 or 40%. So maybe there's some reallocation there too. Anyway, just things to think about. All right, so that's dust today. I'll continue to look for opportunities on that end. SanDisk still holding strikes here. It's earlier in the morning, dropped under 145. I'm like, do I close the last couple of my calls out? Already right in freebies with profits from yesterday, and then I'm looking at opportunities, right? So if there's any kind of follow through or some more FOMO, where do I, what entries do I get? Do I go out to next week and start looking at the calls? And the thing is, they opened strikes past 180 overnight. So do you get the 190s into next week? So those are things I'm looking at. For now, my calls are still in the green, so I'll just continue to hold those. But take a look. I mean, it's sitting here. It gets back over 152 tomorrow. I could see more FOMO. And next thing you know, it's in the 160s and then 170, so on and so forth. So that's SanDisk. Why don't I have SSYS up here? Do I have it? Nope, of course I didn't pull it up here. And then SSYS, right? So yesterday I got those strikes, insane call volume on those January 15s. Overnight, the 23,000 of the strikes actually hit the open interest. So there was only 4,000 on those January 15s. And now there's 25,000 open calls on the open interest went up to 25,000. And then today it's like deja vu all over again. 15,000 calls traded on SSYS versus 235 puts. 8,000 contracts traded on those January 15 strikes. I don't know if this is the start of something, but at some point, market makers, like you would think there'd be some disturbance with the stock as market makers have to react, right? It's like people buy all those calls, someone's on the hook for that. So, uh, and at the same time, no news, no catalyst. I don't want to see this move evaporate and then we just melt back into the low 11s. So I use the inflated premiums and the move from yesterday and today, close some of the calls out for 60%. I'll just continue to hold the rest, maybe use $12 on the stop. And not only that, I've been saying this for a while. I love the 3D space story. It's just surprising these names have been stuck in a rut. SSYS still trades at like 2 times revenues, no debt, plenty of cash, doing stock buyback. All right, that's that. Of course, Roku's just pulled under $98 here in the afternoon. Still holding the Roku strikes. They got close to being up nearly 80, 90% earlier. And then, of course, hits $99. And then, I mean, it's slow. Roku, I mean, it's like the volume has come out of the stock. We'll see tomorrow, tonight after the close of Netflix earnings if there's a beat and raise or solid results. Will the sympathy move? I don't think it'll take much for Roku to be over $100. I'll continue to hold those. Um, Serve, I mean, doing what Serve does, another dollar reversal. It was all the way at 15.30 at 11.15, down to 14.30 by 2 o'clock, and now it just found more pressures down here at $14. I'm not going to add anything. I thought 13.75. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. Reddit chopping around all day today. It's still in the green despite the upgrade. Citigroup upgrade $250 price target on the 90-day positive catalyst watch. I'll continue to hold my lotto strikes there. I think that's about it. I'm trying to think of some of these other names. Yeah, take a look at NKLR today too. I keep watching since last week, right? I'm like, do I get the November 20s, 25s? Then yesterday afternoon, I'm like, November 22.50s. Then earlier today, I'm like, do I get the November 20s? Here it is at $9, lower than its SPAC price. And now you start looking at November 15s. The November 15s are 60 by 90. So, I mean, Wall Street Journal had that article last Friday about the end of these energy names that have the nuclear names that have zero revenues and contracts don't really start until 2027, 2028. And some don't even have approvals, right? So a lot of speculation, but I mean, markets forward pricing looking mechanism. So if the future isn't extremely bright, pun intended, on these names, and they're going to be generating billions in revenues and profits, it's kind of some of the reason why they've come up so far. It's just where do they fall to. So at some point, maybe I'll look for some lottos. Maybe tomorrow. Uh, there were other names that were looking great. I mean, take a look at XYZ was looking good again today, but then faded. I mean, all the way up to $79, and then that's down $1. So just these names just kill premium. So I'm not going to sit here and just try and trade some names just to trade. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I was watching here today. I think that's about it. Netflix. All right, that's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.